Howdy, this is a righteous farmer. I know I can't compete with all these crazy videos we love to watch, but I'm in the mood to make some myself. And just maybe I'll be able to give you some hints and tricks about successful home gardening.
Hi, I am Fake AI Weather Girl, checking the weather for today's episode. We find that summer still has not quite popped on the 1st of June. Earlier in the day before this weather snap was snapped, it was still in the lower 80s. And the wind got up to 10 miles per hour or a wee bit more. Hey, Mr. Oldtimer, I like to garden too. Hey.
Hello, fellas and girls. Super glad to have you stop by to visit with your old pal, Mr. Oldtimer, aka the Righteous Gardener. Wow. Hey, today, for what I got in mind, always begins with a dadgum heavy bag of fertilizer. Boy, I need to hire this chore out. Wow. Shoot, I can remember when I'd sling one of these bags around like a pillowcase without the pillar. But now I'm old. Jeez. Okay, enough fussing. Let's get on with today's frolic. We're going to plant some corn. That's right, just you and me. Good old Golden Queen corn, to be specific. I have tried other brands, but I always come back to this one, hint, hint. What I'm going to show you is the way I do it. The whole point of the exercise is for you to see if you would like to do it my way, which just happens to work pretty good most years. Well, using a couple of iron rods I found around the property, I run a line from one end of the garden to the t'other, just like you see. Then cleverly, I take my triple 13 fertilizer and run a line down the string, just like I was getting ready for the big game. So far, so good. We're taking this one at a time, so feel free to skip forward if you already know what's coming next. Otherwise, just keep watching. Okay, so grabbing my handy Husqvarna tiller with a Honda engine that Husky don't make no more, I set about deep digging along the fertilizer line. The machine set to reverse tine mode. It's going to go down about 6 or 8 inches or so. Well, zippity-doo-dah, back and forth. As you might gather, I dig the row one way and then come back the same way. This way I get the deepest dig possible. Now, I'd love to do something here now to guarantee that you don't change the channel and go somewhere else, but nothing dramatic comes to mind. Well, I suspect that plowing good straight rows were just as dull back in 1836 with a mule and a plow as it is today with a fine, no longer in production real gas-powered digging machine. By the way, when the stuff hits the fan, do you have any clue who the most popular guy on the whole block will be? Why, the neighbor with the mule and the plow, of course. Think about that. Now, moving right along, after I cut a row, I use it to measure to the next one. In this case, I'm using a couple of old arrows, which are just about the right length to measure pretty much from the wheel track. You'll see me run the string from the right edge of that arrow. Now here's the thing. As I mentioned in an earlier vid where my situation different here, and I was trying to grow every kernel of corn I possibly could, I would have tightened up the rows considerably. Say, in other words, those arrows, I might have moved it to the center line. In years past, I cut sticks with the width of the row dig and allowed just enough space to be able to get between the rows with a tiller, you see. Now is as good a time as any to mention to you that corn is worked until it's about belly button high, then no more. So if you have corn and you're all up in the air about there being a weed or two, take care of all that before the corn babies reach your belly button. If you keep digging, you take a chance on damaging the corn roots. So there is a time limit on fussing over the corn, okay? And this doesn't apply just to today and the mechanized tillers, some no longer in production, but it was always that way. Farmer boys knowed when to quit working on the corn. Worth mentioning, to be quite complete, that there are 2 methods for laying off your rows. Well, 3 if you eyeball it. First way is to run the string, pour the fertilizer, and then measure from that line. The second, and the one I usually prefer, is to measure off one row at a time. Now, if one does a row, measures from the tilled earth, then lays the second, and it is acceptable, the stick device can be cut or measured to length, and it will work out the same way every time. But being initially lazy, I just prefer to, do a row, measure, and then do another. I confess that I have never had the pleasure of laying off a garden with a plow, mule-powered or otherwise. For the first 35 years, I used that one-lunger Sears front tine tiller only. When I finally graduated to my Husky tiller that is no longer being made, well, I thought I was in boar hog heaven. I'm a man of simple pleasures, by the way, except maybe when it comes to computers, fishing equipment, televisions, the list goes on. The row's completed with a good old Husky tiller that is no longer being made. It's time to fire up the one-lung Sears tiller. Wow. Hey, if you've been keeping up and you have seen it in action before, no need to show you the setup with the plow thingy my son made in high school about 30 years ago. It's on another video. Probably should have patented the darn thing back then. Well, trust me, it's hooked up to the drag bar and it's off to the races, ladies and gentlemen. One pass only, and I lay in the little corn ditches, or corn baby beds as they call them down at Auburn University. Wow, crazy nuts. Hey, by the way, someone may have once asked Mr. Oldtimer, why do you do narration after you shoot the video? Well, I have been meaning to answer this question. The answer is that Mr. OT can no longer multitask because he is very ancient. So he does not voice as he goes along because he would lose his place and make a simply awful mess. Yerp. Continuing with the voiceover. Looky here. Mr. Oldtimer has grabbed his 3/4 or thereabouts inch PVC seed placement device and is busily planting one corn seed about every 8 inches or so. There is method to this madness. Now, if Mr. OT were raising a SHTF, if you don't know what that means, look it up, garden, he would do a couple of seeds every 6 inches or so. Once you do this a few times, you don't need a ruler, by the way. You just know when to, you just know where to do it. But having plenty of room and no stress this year, Mr. OT moves the seed a little further out. And in truth of fact, it is probable that the corn does actually do a little better with some extra space. I pretty much proved that. After losing those seeds in that fine garden dirt, using the seed planting device known as piece of pipe for prop, Mr. OT busily, and I mean real busily, scruffles the dirt lightly back into the furrow, row, ditch, whatever. And that winds up the exciting corn planting for another year, especially if it comes up. Wow. Hey, in our next thrilling episode of Gardening with Mr. Oldtimer, I'm in the way of knowing that we're going to be doing some more tomato tine and also a dab of okra replanting. Crazy good fun. Looking forward to having y'all back. Subscribe and join the Mr. OT Club so you can send me money for a cup of fertilizer. Meow meow.